Sports fans, Coach Nick here, and welcome to the B-Ball Breakdown live show coming at you, as always, after the Game 2 of the finals between the Heat and the Nuggets. As always, I'm joined by Andrew Combo Salip on the other side of the country, but also next to me is Ben Guest, basketball coach, author, and friend. So what's up, guys? What's up, Combo?
How'd you feel about this game, Coach Nick? I'm really trying to hear your thoughts on this one.
Before the game started, I was like, this is the one that they're going to get, right? Or this is the one they kind of have to get, right? If it's 2-0, I think it's too tough for them. But I think a lot of what I said in game one in the video breakdown kind of comes true, right? They shot better. Certainly, they got a lot better out of Strus in the beginning, which I thought was a relief. He didn't sustain that by any stretch. But obviously, I think it was a tale of the three-point shooting, wouldn't you say?
I would say so. And Duncan Robinson's development has just been incredible. His ability to get in the lane, make plays, shoot how he's always shot. And for a guy that was out of the rotation for a little bit to just come back in the playoffs and make an impact like that was just incredible, in my opinion.
Absolutely. I'm going to call up the box score real quick just so we can get there. But Ben, what are your thoughts to start off?
100%. Second that. And also Robinson, not just shooting threes, but attacking the basket, drawing two defenders with him off that side, screening action. Just huge difference maker tonight.
Absolutely. Let's get some numbers up here while we're here. So Duncan Robinson finished the game. He only played 17 minutes. Very impactful 17 minutes. It's kind of weird. I thought for sure he'd be a plus 20 in the minutes thing. 10 points, 4 of 5 from the field, and only one assist. Interesting. I think maybe one of those passes they threw, like the guys got fouled, perhaps, like it would have been another one. But other notable scorers out there, they had Gabe Vincent with 23. And, to me, it's funny. Gabe Vincent, I feel like I wasn't sold as a starter on a good team in the NBA. But obviously, I think this playoff run has really proven that he's got it. He looks like he belongs. He looks like he feels like he belongs. And he's been real tough.
Most definitely. The confidence has just been incredible. And you're talking about Duncan Robinson's stats, but just his presence and his confidence was so apparent. He just put his imprint on the game more than the stats even shown.
Absolutely. Now, a couple other guys. So we had Bam Adebayo with 21. Again, he's finding some success going at Jokic in the paint a little bit, finding that mid-range area to kind of score on him. So that's the thing that's hurting the Nuggets a bit. And on the flip side, let's see. So overall, the three-point shooting was 17 for 35 for almost 49% almost from three. You're not going to lose many games shooting that well. Now on the flip side, the Nuggets went 11 for 28. They were 39%, so they were not that far off. But again, when you get outscored by 6 threes, you're going to lose a lot of those games, which didn't play out last game. But what we saw though was I don't know, like 3 or 4 of those threes were made in the fourth quarter. After it kind of felt like it was decided in game one. So now this was much more to form, and then some of those threes were crucial. I think KCP fouling on those 3-point shots was a real problem too. Certainly, when you're down by 3 at the last possession, you probably want those 6 free throws back, wouldn't you say?
6 points.
Yeah. I mean, you guys are coaches. What adjustments do you think, or what were they talking about before this game that was really apparent to you guys? Because obviously they made some changes.
Well, one thing that we talked about last game is just, as the saying goes, it's a make or miss league, and Miami was just hitting their shots. But I think not only, and you referenced this Combo, not only Duncan Robinson's 4 or 5 from the field, but the attention he was drawing opened up open shots for Vincent and maybe Strus as well. And it also just seemed like the Miami Heat playbook is hang around. I mean, Denver was up by 10, 12, 15, I think at one point.
15.
And just hang around and win it at the end. And that's exactly what they did.
And Jimmy with some timely buckets, right? Jimmy, he just knows when to score.
I have a nugget. Hey, it's good.
You've got a great nugget.
I've got a nugget that I don't know if anyone else is noticing. I'm going to chart it all and have it in the video so that you won't see it in the video. I'll tell you what it is in a second. But I think we discovered something in the offense of the Heat that's been killing the Nuggets, and it certainly did tonight. I'm going to break that to everybody as breaking news. But first, we have some questions. And remember, if you're over on the YouTube side and you want to have your question answered, the best way to do it is with the super chat. It really helps us keep the show going. I can't thank you enough. And we put you on the screen. We give you all sorts of love. And guess what? We already have a number of them in the pipeline we got to get to. So the first one we have is from Daryl Wallace, friend of the breakdown. Daryl, thanks so much. Great to see you and really, really generous. Really appreciate that. Miami got a lot of calls in their favor. That's true. And the refs missed a goaltending call on Bam Adebayo, but Denver put themselves in a bad spot by having so many miscommunications on defense. Wow, did Daryl hack my notes on my phone? I think he might have.
That's a great take.
Almost word for word. That goaltend was pretty bad. The ball was on its way down, and it was kind of like in front of the rim. Like, back in the day, they invented goaltending because George Mikan would just stand in front of the rim and just swat shots away, and you could sense that wasn't fair. You saw that one, Combo. How bad do you think that call was?
Yeah, bad call. Things in the playoffs, it's not like they get to see it on TV and see the replay. Things are in full speed, and it's a little bit more difficult when you're going in real time.
I hear you, and that is the one that's really, really difficult, and among all the other, because you're trying to see contact and the ball and all that stuff, and all of a sudden then you have to get up there. It's not easy at all.
Right. Now the flip side was there was a terrible call on Bam Adebayo fouling Nikola Jokic, which the replay showed he didn't foul him.
Yeah.
That's the one where Bam was calling for a replay, but Spo didn't do it.
But then Jokic gets a terrible offensive foul call.
Right.
When Vincent falls down in front of him and he runs over him. That was strange. Or he trips over him. That was weird.
So did you guys see miscommunications on defense the first game as well? Because Strus got a lot of wide open looks in the first game. I mean, the Miami Heat in general were getting a lot of wide open looks. Do you feel like the difference was that they were just knocking them down this game?
Yes. And the thing that we noticed right away was the miscommunications on the switches. There were in the first half, there were several miscommunications on how they wanted to switch which defender is guarding which offensive player
on the ball screen. The basic thing, one of them we had, I tweeted it out, was KCP slides up like he's going to hedge, which is not a switch. And the way he was positioned, it seemed that way. So MPJ didn't move, but then all of a sudden, neither did KP, and then neither did KCP. Yep. So I think that was Strus, just slips it. So you can see they put a lot of pressure on the defense when they slip those ball screens quickly before you get a chance to even react. So that's another key there. But they really need to clean it up. And we thought for sure halftime they'll go through that, they'll clean it all up. And it did feel that way. They got a 15-point lead. Everything seemed normal. But if we're going to take anything away from this Miami Heat team, it's that they don't quit. They keep playing hard. They stay with it. And eventually those threes are going to start going back in.
Right. Everything seemed normal. And then Duncan Robinson gets in and they start messing up the switches again. And we were kind of watching who was pointing and whose responsibility it was. There was one more thing that Daryl mentioned, though, this is my biggest takeaway from the game. He talked about the miscommunication on defense for Denver. And we all know couples relationships where they have a lack of communication and the relationship's a mess.
Wow.
Miami's the opposite. Miami is that couple that has great communication, that talks everything out right away and keeps it moving. And that was my takeaway. There was that Jimmy Butler turnover when Butler got in the fourth quarter. And as soon as he got in, he turned the ball over and Miami sprinted back in transition, called out who's got who, and stopped it. I mean, their communication is perfect, especially when the going gets tough.
Yeah, if we could equate talent to good looks, I mean, they're not the most good-looking couple, but they communicate really well.
That makes them pretty. But again, that's another important point about a turnover is a live ball turnover isn't necessarily a killer if they don't score on the other end.
Right.
And so we need to have degrees of how bad turnovers are because there's dead ball turnover, which is probably the least impactful. Then there are the live ones where they don't score, and that's but then it's the pick sixes where they get the dunks and the open threes. Those are the ones that really kill you. So it
was close to a pick six. I mean, it was out of its center court, but they just sprinted back and at altitude in the fourth quarter. So Miami is that couple that's not so good looking. It just is a fun and great communication.
For sure.
And I mean, Denver was doing some great stuff on offense in the second half, and Miami still got it done. Like Jokic was doing his thing. Jamal Murray, it's like just Miami finds a way to get it done. It's not that Denver didn't show up. Like they were doing Denver things, but Miami still got it done.
Our whole conversation until midway through the fourth was just what Denver's doing, what we're going to talk about with Denver. And Miami Heat in typical Heat fashion just hang around and win the game.
Right. I mean, in fact, Denver almost stole it, which is, I don't think you can steal it.
Steal a home
You
game.
can't steal a home game, but like they had to almost steal it with the threes at the end. And that would have been amazing. The freaking Heat didn't foul up by 3. And, it was a contested shot, but like, that's just too close. Murray hits the rim. It like could have gone in to tie it. I got to look through my brain and my hard drive. I might have some notes on certain. I mean, I used to kind of keep a track of the list. Who doesn't foul? I don't remember Spoelstra being on that list. But then again, maybe I haven't tracked it. So I'm going to go dig deep and find out. Maybe for the video, I'll mention it.
Yeah.
To the play-by-play to see.
And great question by Daryl to start us off. Thank you.
Yes.
Daryl.
Thank you so much. Now, our next super chat. Thank you again to Daryl. We have a guy, Andre Henry. I think someone in my family once said never trust a guy with 2 first names. But in this case, we're definitely going to trust Andre Henry. Thank you so much. Really generous. Coach, as a Heat fan, where is Jimmy Butler? This is not the same guy who terrorized and had 56 points earlier in the playoffs as he just gassed. I don't think he's gassed. You think he looks tired, Ben?
Nope,
I don't know I think he's injured. I literally think he's injured, and they're not saying what it is.
I mean,
What do you see?
I mean, from watching them throughout the course of the season, because I do watch them, Jimmy just does this, and I'm not sure the reason why. I've actually talked to people within the Heat, and I never really get a straight answer why, but he just seems to not want to be a guy that wants to average 30 or 32 or 33. He wants to be a part of the team. But when he gets to a situation where he feels like he has to score, he will do it. I think him and Jokic are similar in that way. Like, they will leave a lot of what they do on the table and get it done at the end of the game when they have to. And Jimmy did hit some big shots in timely moments, but I don't think he wants to be the guy that averages 40 and drags a team to the championship. He wants to be a part of the team. And then when he has to, he does score that 40, 50 points.
Right. My takeaway was, to me, he looked fatigued, but it may just be that, maybe that getting the team involved. And I noticed that when Gordon was the primary defender on Jimmy, he was reluctant to attack Gordon, who obviously has size on him, and was hunting the switch for KCP. But then at the end of the game, like you're saying, Gumbo, 1, he hits that huge 3, and then 2, he scores on Jokic, and as part of their zone, he's guarding Jokic on the other end at the free throw line. I mean,
when Jimmy,
at the end,
when Jimmy says he really only cares about winning, and Jokic says it as well, I think that's the biggest common denominator with these 2 stars. Like, they really don't care about stats. Like, anybody could say it, but these 2 are true to their word.
Yeah. And then you could also see that Jokic at some point, it's like, F this, I'm going.
Yes.
Give me the ball. I have to take over. I'm going to do it. And he did. And that was what, listen, it's easy to say when the Heat win this game, okay, great. Jimmy, you're a team player. You're not doing it, but or you're just kind of being part of the team. But we're going to be back to this. Trust me, Andre. There's going to be another loss for the Heat, and we're going to say, where the hell is Jimmy Butler? And it's not good enough to say he's just trying to blend in, whatever. But for right now, I mean, huge win, and it's great to see the team work with that and with the zone and with different things. Yeah,
I mean, if Jimmy still has this 40 or 50-point game in his back pocket, I mean, Denver might be in some trouble, right? If he gets 1 or 2 of those, I mean, this is a real 7-game series.
Absolutely. All of a sudden, it goes a lot longer than the 5 that I thought, or 6.
Right.
But we can't ignore the fact that Denver still ho hum 15-point lead. And they went about their business. And it looked, there are certainly more minutes in this series so far that look very perilous for the Heat.
Yeah.
And that's still
100%.
You can't ignore that. So the video will be interesting for tomorrow to really examine exactly what that is, because it wasn't Aaron Gordon this time. Right. Aaron Gordon ended up with, actually Aaron Gordon was 5 for 7 for 12 points, but certainly did not have any near the impact that he did in that first quarter alone.
Exactly. Like, even second half, he wasn't very impactful of the last game. So it's been like the last 3 halves pretty much where they haven't been taking advantage of the Aaron Gordon mismatches, where they probably should feature that more in the first half of the next game.
Well, we didn't even get a chance to talk about the new starting lineup, which is what I think we had talked about after game 1, as far as bringing Kevin Love in. And that does seem to help as well. It's not just a complete mouse in the house. Aaron Gordon, I'm going, easily with Love there. Not that Love is like, a great defender by any stretch, but he is big enough where Gordon's not just going to do it. Although he did do one bully, I think, drive.
But Love had excellent rotations for defensive help when he was in. Mm-hmm. The other thing is, Jimmy's been playing 40 plus minutes for the last 2 months or whatever it is. But even tonight, right, where he looks gassed, he's got 9 assists and 1 turnover in 40 minutes. I mean, he's just fundamentally, as Combo's saying, he's always making the right team play. So that's just a beautiful thing to watch. And then his will to win at the end is unparalleled.
And these plus minuses are really, really fascinating if you look at them, because again, the Nuggets had a 15-point lead. They were kind of cruising for a while. It felt like they were going to take it. But when you look at the plus minuses, you got plus 22 for Vincent, plus 18 for Love. Love had, by the way, 10 rebounds in 22 minutes, just hoovering them up. And then meanwhile, the plus minus on the Nugget side, and again, they had control. There was a profound moment here where the game was going to be a blowout for them. You got Michael Porter Jr.'s negative 15, Jokic negative 11. KCP negative 14. So that's a real problem. We did know that they built a lot of that lead on the back of the bench for the Nuggets. So that's probably one of the reasons why you see Jokic at negative 11. But this is an interesting series where there's a lot to dive into on this with the coaching to figure that out.
Can I do a quick rant on plus minus?
Yeah.
So Jokic had 41 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, shot 57%, 40% from three. And is negative 11. So that's why plus minus.
It's just when you play that many minutes, right? It kind of goes out the window if you lose, right?
Right.
It's a noisy stat. And because by the way, you'll see sometimes where these two players played most of the time together, but you'll see one guy at like plus 10, another guy at minus 6, right? And even though there might have only been like 4 minutes where they weren't on this court together, or 3 minutes and something like that. So it's a noisy stat.
But Duncan Robinson minus 6, but I think he was the key in the end of the third quarter, fourth quarter. It's kind of a little bit of a game of runs with Miami at the end. With first it was Vincent, then it was Robinson, and then it was Butler and Bam kind of carried them out.
I'd like to hear your thoughts on what are your thoughts on PER?
I hate it.
It's terrible.
Yeah, I hate it. Sorry, John, but it's just some.
I feel like John's a smart guy, but
doesn't mean anything to me.
PER literally has the word efficiency in the name, and they don't take efficiency into account. If you take more shots than and you score more points, but don't raise your efficiency, it goes up.
I mean, 2K does a one number score to evaluate players. What do you think is the best way going about that? Not to drift too far off topic.
I've got the answer. I've got my answer.
Lay it on us.
Wins produced, which was created by a economics professor at Southern Utah named Dr. David Barry. And so he used regression analysis, peer-reviewed journal article, and then wrote a book called Wages of Wins that Malcolm Gladwell referenced in a New Yorker article. So look up Wins produced.
I've definitely read Blink. Great book.
Yeah.
Malcolm Gladwell. Yep.
100%.
All right. Well, let's get to the next super chat. Thank you so much, Ven. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. The Heat proved me wrong, though.
Me too.
Thought the Nuggets in 4, but Heat zone is real and alive. So their zone, they're doing a 1-3-1. I'm going to go back to the Celtics, I think, if I have time. I don't think we saw that alignment because they didn't freaking throw it to the high post like they're doing now. Mm-hmm. The 1-3-1 is great because now, even though it's Vincent, it's enough for some bizarre reason to thwart that pass to Jokic, at least initially, until the shot clock starts winding down. It's working really, really well. There are a couple times when they figured it out, but until I'm watch, I added up and they ended up having like 2.0 points per possession. I don't think they did, though.
No,
I think the
zone was
struggled.
Effective. The 1-3-1 was effective because it stops
the high post.
The high post, that's how Jokic is going to kill you.
Yeah, and they might even play around with that and not have Vincent there. I know they had Butler there at some points. Play around maybe some bigger players in that position too, just to kind of have more of a what's the word I'm looking for?
More efficient.
No, just have a bigger body to thwart that pass as an obstacle. Yes, Combo.
I'm just saying, from this question, I mean, I think the Heat have proved everybody wrong in a lot of ways, right? Denver a lot of people thought Denver was going to have an easy series here, and Miami proves every series that they're nothing to play with. Don't count them out. And we're not playing around, and this is going to be a long series. And they proved it again here, even with Denver's elite offense, because I actually posted today on IG, what are the adjustments that Miami could actually make? I mean, it wasn't that apparent. The only thing that was apparent is that they had to shoot the basketball better, right? Besides that, there was no, more Kevin Love minutes, maybe. Maybe more Highsmith minutes, but besides that, there wasn't much Spo could do. He was in a really tough position after game 1.
Well, let's not forget Kevin Love was pretty profound. Like it was a really good important. This outlet pass and the rebounding, and then he made. Oh, I switched it off. He made 1 3. He made a couple threes. And he needs to do that. Like that's the other thing I mentioned to you in the middle of the game. For all anything he was doing with rebounding or even a couple outlet passes, they need a couple threes. They need that spacing. They need that contribution from him there to justify those minutes, and he hit them. So that's as well. That's as good as they would have gotten. Even though he was only 2 for 9, he didn't shoot well. But those were crucial in terms of him. And he was plus 18, if we're allowed to say that. But
Kevin Love got 9 threes up.
What?
You said
6.
Kevin Love
2 for 6.
I mean, to be honest, like just getting shots up creates gravity, especially if you're a respected shooter like Kevin Love. Like that helps you, even though your percentage isn't great. It could just create spacing.
And then what they did is they flipped that in the second half, and instead of Love, it was Robinson who knocked them all down. I think there were 3 keys. I think Robinson. I think to plant this future payoff, the thing that Coach identified that he's going to talk about later.
Oh yeah.
And then I think the zone, but the zone, the 1-3-1, which is knocking out Jokic's effectiveness at the high post, which as you said, Combo, like every series, the Heat prove us wrong, and every series I pick the other team, and now the Heat have proved us wrong again. For now, but yes, they continue. Now. We cannot keep writing them off. Huge win though.
Huge. All right, let's get to our next one before we get too late in the pants for this one. The Drew Show. Thank you so much, Drew Carey fan. Jokic's assist to turnover ratio was horrible. Well, let's go to that and find out how horrible it was. Jokic had
negative.
He had 4 assists and 5 turnovers. Well, terrible. I got to tell you, one of them was terrible because it was an offensive foul. That should not have been a call. That was 1 turnover. Guys, can you picture the other?
No, I can't.
There might have been another offensive foul. Was there another offensive foul?
Maybe just those getting the ball taken from him when he's catching it at the high post. There was 1 or 2 steals there, I think.
Maybe, they knocked it away from him. So, I mean, he needs to be better than that. And, part of the assist thing, obviously, is that the teammates need to hit the shots, right, when he passes them. We saw plenty of really good passing, from him, and he was finding guys.
He had 41 points. I mean, he was shooting more than passing, for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, to me, there are some things that Nuggets will clean up. They're not going to foul the 3-point shooter twice. I just refuse to believe they're going to screw up their switches 5 more times in a game. And by the way, every time they got burned, right? I mean, it seems like whenever they couldn't get away with any of those.
The reason why they might screw that, I'm sure the coaches will make that a coaching point, but the reason they might screw it up is between Porter Jr. and Gordon, you got young players that are kind of bouncing around and maybe not thinking the game as thoroughly as they should. Maybe. And then KCP's 2 fouls, as you mentioned, 2 fouls on 3-point shooters, terrible. Yeah,
it ended up being huge in a close game at the end. All right, let's get to another super chat. We got plenty to get through, so thank you guys so much.
Keep the questions coming.
Shiny Haxorus, best friend of the breakdown. Thank you. People discounted the shooting in game 1, but teams missing open shots at crucial points kills momentum. Percentages matter less than timely shots. So I like that idea because one shot missed begets another missed shot, and people start to press, and it becomes a team-wide thing very quickly like that.
And also, on top of that, it creates cross matchups, and that's part of the reason why Eric Gordon got all those easy looks against mismatches, because they were just missing shots, and then it leads to transition buckets. So, when you shoot better, I mean, it makes the defense easier on your part.
Yeah. I mean, there's no question the Nuggets got away with a lot in game 1. Just like the Heat got away with the Celtics missing a lot of open shots, too. It was interesting. Yeah. So, that's why people will say it's a make or miss league, and I get that. That's certainly true as well. But, there also are some other things that people sometimes don't take into consideration in terms of the mental side, in terms of just even the execution of the offense. Was the pass good? I know the guy was open, but did he have to reach down to his shoelaces to pick it up? Like all sorts of things like that can limit the effectiveness of the percentage.
And in terms of that, Coach, when we were watching the game, you mentioned Spo's body language. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. If you watch him, he's probably a great model because he's purposeful. It's intense. It's also positive. It's never like negative. It's never angry. It's not. There's no disgust. he has cleared all of that out of his system so that when what he's projecting, even when he's just standing there, is emotional stability and just that grit and determination. You can see it on his face, and he's locked in and he's focused and he's present. Versus other coaches you'll see that are angry and they're preening and they're just throwing their hands up all the time. Spoelstra is very in control, and I think that really has a lot to do with why these guys don't give up.
Yes.
And they don't, and they just stick with it until they can get back in the game.
He cultures a real thing, man. I mean,
yes.
Everything they do. I mean, from their contracts where they have to be asserted, body fat percentage. I mean, there's a reason why Jimmy fits in so well there, because he has this mentality that fits in with the program of what they do, with from Pat Riley to Spo to their best player in Jimmy.
And isn't it amazing that basically in about 14 months, 3 different teams, the Bulls, the T-Wolves, and the 76ers, had the Jimmy Butler experience, went to the playoffs, won, and said he's not for us. Just goes to show you that team's value isn't necessarily what's going to win you games.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're falling behind in the super chats. So let's see if we can get to some other ones. I still haven't given you my this is okay. We'll make everybody get to you got to wait to the very end of the show, I guess. So I give you the real key.
It's a very subtle thing, but it's an important point
that no one has noticed, and I can't wait to drop it.
Yeah. If you think you know what it is, put it in the chat.
Can you give us a hint? Can you give us a hint?
It's something that the Heat are doing on offense.
Yeah.
Ooh. Okay.
All right. So Jake Rito, thank you so much for the super chat. Really appreciate it. Would be hilarious if Miami didn't run the zone next game. Yes, well, we saw that in the Celtics when they had the blowout in Game 3. Miami didn't run it at all. Probably would have if they didn't have a huge lead in the second half. Probably would have. But they didn't run in the first half before the lead got too big. So I mean, this is tough, man, because you're talking about the finals and it's 1-1. But I don't see, based on what we think the success is going to be based on PPP, I can't see them not running it. To you at all?
No, I think they'll run it. But Miami Spo is great at always having something up his sleeve.
For sure. What do you think, Combo?
I think they'll run zone because they like to mix it up. I think he likes just throwing a different look at teams. It's not really about the zone. It's just about throwing a different look that most teams don't throw at other teams. So, with Jokic, it's just tough. I mean, but you could say that about any type of defense you throw at Jokic. Like,
that's right.
He's a big conundrum.
And by the way, a lot of times the value is you play zone 3 or 4 times in a row, and then as soon as you switch back to man, that possession becomes a confusing one as they're trying to figure out how to attack. You get a stop that way. So there's always that extra layer, even when you stop running it, where you get a bump maybe on that next one. I did try to tease that out in maybe it was Game 7 just to see if it was a thing. It wasn't much. I think the Celtics scored a lot on the next possession after the zone, but we'll look at it in the finals and see if there's any bump there, because I generally see a lot of times the confusion takes another 5 seconds to run off the clock before they can get their attack going. All right, let's get to our next super chat. Let's see here. So we have, there we go. Martin Jose, best friend of the breakdown. Thank you so much, Martin. Thoughts on Suns hiring Frank Vogel as head coach? Great hire. One of the great coaches that hadn't been working for the last couple of years. I think the only problem is they have now the highest paid assistant underneath it, just like they kind of did with Ty Lue. And I'm telling you, if you're a head coach and you have a guy, I will say this, it's worse when you have a guy who had former head coach experience as your assistant, because it just feels like you're going to get fired and they're going to pick him and replace you. But you have to, this one's the guy, Young doesn't have head coaching experience, but it is interesting that he's now the highest paid assistant underneath Vogel again.
You are going to get fired.
Okay, you're right.
As an NBA head coach, there's a good chance you are going to get fired. So you might as well just do your thing and do it the way you want to do, because there's a great chance if your name isn't Kerr, Spo, or Popovich, you're going to be fired. And we've seen that because all the great coaches were looking for new jobs, and obviously they got them now. But it just is what it is when it comes to an NBA head coaching position.
Now, what's Vogel been able to do? He can probably shore up a defense a little bit, but let me check, because I'm kind of feeling like the defense of the Suns wasn't bad this year. Am I crazy? Let's see here. Phoenix.
It was 2 completely different teams, though. So you got to look at the difference, right?
Right. You know what I mean, the defensive rating was 7th overall anyway. So you're right. Actually, I guess it's worth looking at what it was after the trade. That's what we look at.
Yeah, I mean, two of their better defenders are on the Brooklyn Nets now. You know,
true. Let's look at that.
And it seems like there's some repair that needs to be done with the relationship with DeAndre Ayton. And that's interesting to me, to piggyback on what Coach is saying, is that they fire Monty Williams. Monty Williams, I think, takes the rest of his staff to Detroit, but then they want to keep Young, pay him $2 million a year to be the lead assistant for Vogel. Organizationally, I kind of question that. I mean, we talked last time I was on the show. We talked about the importance of continuity. And this just seems like you're setting up, an escape hatch and taking away some of Vogel's incoming respect right from jump. Doesn't seem great.
Interesting. We'll see. Vogel is pretty good about that, though. He navigated all that pretty well
till he got fired.
I mean, yeah, but that's a tough one. He gets fired because was he already the coach
2 years after he won a championship?
Was he the coach when LeBron got there?
No, that was Luke Walton.
Yeah. Okay. So at any rate,
Vogel won the chip.
Yo, LeBron goes through coaches like.
Yeah, I mean that's another thing. That's a little bit of an asterisk, but yes, we'll see what happens with him this time. But
anyway. What's crazy about when you say anything about LeBron? Like they want to peg you, the listeners. I don't know if it's your show, but just maybe it's my show. Like they have to peg you either a LeBron guy or a non-LeBron guy. You can never be unbiased when it comes to LeBron.
Right? Is that right?
Pro LeBron or anti-LeBron. But
anything you say good about Jordan is somehow a swipe on LeBron. And I'm like, oh, okay,
yeah,
right. All right. Let's get to. The Drew Show is back for another one. I gotta scroll a little bit here. All right. Thank you so much, Drew. Is the solution as simple as starting Green for Michael Porter Jr.? So obviously Michael Porter Jr. is now 2 for 17, something crazy like that in the first 2 games. So 3 for 17. So the question then is, he'll regress to the mean and start making shots just like Drew started making shots. Like that's probably the answer. I don't think it's time. Maybe if Denver falls down 2-1. You might look at something, but as of right now, I don't think you have to change the starting lineup.
No, you start MPJ. I mean, he's your third best player. You don't not start MPJ just because of the way he's shooting the basketball. And I think in game 1, he had a better game than like the efficiency of the numbers showed. Like I thought he played pretty well, even though the numbers
defensively he was terrific. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, he had a few in and outs in the first game too. Like he probably should have made those shots. So I'm sure he'll play better. I mean, you need to have him because he creates a lot of gravity the way he moves without the ball and the way he shoots the basketball in general.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now Jeff Green, his stat line tonight is fantastic. 16 minutes, 1 of 1, 3-pointer, 9 points because he shot 6 of 6 from the free throw line, 1 rebound, 1 assist. That's pretty good for 16 minutes.
Yeah. And that the whole bench was great, in that stretch that got him that lead. So they seem to be able to recreate that again, I guess. Do
you feel like sometimes like we're looking at the numbers and there's just some things you can't explain that have nothing to do with the numbers? Because I feel, Denver's bench played well, Jokic played well, but Miami still gets the win. Is there something about like heart you just can't put into numbers?
I think for this, the numbers are clear. It's the 3-pointers, right? Like they won by 3 and they hit 6 more 3-pointers. Then all the other stats are basically about even in terms of shooting percentage, turnovers, rebounds. Mm-hmm. So it's the threes. But I think to your point, Combo, what we talked about earlier, it's just that constant communication, constant press. Like we're not going to let up in any area, whether we're hitting our shots or not hitting our shots.
Right. I make one more point while I type.
So I
think that heliocentric offense. Oh, go ahead.
So, Combo, you a LeBron guy or a Jordan guy? No.
I love them both, but I will say I talked about this today, and maybe people will kill me in the comments. I think LeBron is a better overall basketball player than Jordan, but it's very close.
100%. I mean, LeBron's going to finish top 5 in points and assists and top 25. 30 in rebounds.
I feel like Coach Nick would never agree with me, but I feel like some of it is biased because he grew up watching Jordan play. And I don't blame him. Because I feel like when you're growing up, it has so much impact on your life. Like
you had season tickets.
Right? I know, but doesn't that give me more insight because I was able to really understand?
Well, did you get the LeBron season tickets early? So it's not fair.
No, but at least I got to watch LeBron. Probably. You know what? I probably would end up watching more LeBron only because when you were back then, like you couldn't see West Coast games that easily. So sometimes like they'd show up in the stadium and you wouldn't even know who they were, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, John Stockton, look at this guy. I mean, I remember when he first got big, we hadn't heard of him, and then he came in and just killed the Bulls. So that's the only issue is that and so now with what we have, and since LeBron, we have a lot more opportunities to watch a lot more of these games. So I feel like I'd probably seen as much.
Right, you see the good and the bad, because I seen this video going around where Rex Chapman was cooking Michael Jordan. And they said, they talk about how like nobody ever talked to Michael Jordan, like he was a killer, everybody was afraid of him. But then somebody was sending me this thing where Rex Chapman was just going at MJ and talking all kinds of smack to him. But that kind of gets lost in the sauce.
Send me that. I don't remember. I want to see that.
But Michael Jordan, come on, it's really close. No matter what, I feel like people think like it's one person or the other, and it's not even close. And it's definitely close in my opinion. Oh,
it's 1A and 1B.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the next super chat, which is Andre Henry. Thank you so much, Andre. Really, really, this is amazing. You guys are great, especially the multiple super chatters, which we have another one coming up. How would you tell the Nuggets to defend the pick and roll on switches against the Heat?
Great question.
Well, how about switching is the key there? Actually do the switch. That would help.
And then you mentioned this during the game. Who calls the switch?
Okay. So it's an old school version of a switch because they don't really do it like this in the NBA. And I don't know if it's trickled down to the lower levels either. But the bottom line is what it needs to be, and I feel strongly about this, is that if I'm the one being screened, I'm the one who calls switch if I need it, because I know if I can get around or not and stay with the man or not. So when you see that messed up, it's almost always because the guy defending the screener just switches. And the other guy getting screened is, I'm fighting through because I'm supposed to fight through. And they both go to the cutter. The screener is wide open, and then he's open for a three or for a layup. So it really, if you let just the guy getting screened to dictate it, and it's loud enough, that should eliminate all those issues. It's an old school way of doing it, and I just can't get out of my head any other way that would work better.
Now, what the Heat did that was clever is they ran that screen for Duncan Robinson. Both Nuggets players went for Robinson, left, I think it was Strus or Vincent wide open. And then they came down and ran the play again.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the adjustment that Denver's going to have to make because you're not expecting this. This time, I think it was Braun went over the top, which is how he's playing Robinson off the screen, which is fine because you're playing him to shoot. So if you go over the top, you're still there to be able to be right in his shooting pocket. But then Robinson just cut to the basket and made the layup. So that's unexpected from Robinson. So now you've got to figure out how you want to address that.
I think you need to go. You can shoot the gap. So the best way to do that is if I'm guarding the screener and I see him sitting that screen on the sideline, I take a step back and I let Robinson go through that hole.
100%.
That way he can get through quicker and then still get a hand up if he wants to kind of flare it and shoot a quick shot. And he's certainly not going to be able to curl like he did on that for the layup. Yes, and there's basic basketball that we all know Mike Malone knows well how to coach in terms of defense that they need to fix. And I would imagine they'll spend the next couple of days cleaning that up. I don't think that they're going to screw it up as badly as they did tonight, but it was bad.
Yeah. The other thing I'm wondering is, so Jokic has 41 points. That might be the strategy. Let Jokic go off and hold everybody else.
No help. No, stay home on the shooters.
I think there was a lot of conversation around that before the series. Like, just let Jokic go off. I remember like tweeting this in the bubble. Like, if you double Jokic, it's just like a big problem for everybody. Like, he just finds people so quick right in the shooting pocket, and he makes everybody around him better. Maybe that is the move. Just letting Jokic, try and get 40 or 50, and so be it if they win that way.
Yep.
For sure. All right. Well, Daryl Wallace, thank you. Miami's a lunch pail team that plays the same way. Yes. Teams like that find success because opposing teams take their foot off the gas pedal. I'm still not sure what to make of their chances in this. I'm right there with you, Daryl. One game doesn't change the entire series. And then, like I said earlier, again, there's been stretches in both these games that the Nuggets look completely overwhelming. And so we can't ignore that now. But listen, how many times we keep writing the damn Heat off and they keep proving us wrong. It's crazy.
We've been doing this live show. For a while now during the playoffs, obviously for a while now in general, over a year, but in the playoffs, we've been doing this and me and you, Coach Nick, let's be honest. We've been predicting the other team to win. I don't know for how long now. So it's kind of crazy. I mean, I never like to pull up my receipts when I'm wrong, but they've been just phenomenal and just proving us wrong over and over again.
Well, and let's not forget, they were down in the fourth quarter of the second play-in game. And that's how close they were to not even being in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Now they're 1-1 in the final. They're three wins away from the championship.
Do you feel like this is a product of just the league being so much deeper and there's so much talent that's closer to all-star level than ever before, that so many more teams have a chance to win a championship because the average NBA player is just so much closer to the star player than ever before?
And the variance of three-point shooting.
Yeah,
those two things.
Yeah.
But wait, where are everyone saying, well, the Nuggets were able to get to the finals by playing every team in every round with a severely injured star on each team?
We're not doing it. We can't do that. We can't do that anymore, Coach Nick.
Yeah, I mean, listen, everybody, it happens or it doesn't happen, then we can't, whatever. But I mean, I suppose if a team ever made it to the finals and they had like 3 straight series before that where like 2 of the stars both got injured in the middle of the first game of each series, like then we can say something weird. But other than that,
Giannis missed 3 games in Miami in the first round, and then Embiid missed 2 games, right?
That was Boston, wasn't it? Or wait, who played? Was it Miami played the Bucks?
Sorry, Miami played the Bucks, and Giannis basically missed 3 games.
It's too many one series though to even do this anymore. You know what I mean?
You're
like,
right. You're right. All right.
100%.
So variance, 3-point shooting. That's what it is. Hot and cold. All right. Flintstone. Thank you so much, Flintstone. Meet the Flintstone.
Yeah.
Should the Heat play Herro next game?
Me and Ben disagree.
Coming off injury, he's been out whatever a month.
I'd say you bring.
Working.
I think you bring him off the bench.
Yeah.
I think he can raise your ceiling on offense, and I think they need a little boost.
Yeah, but you really want to be holding the guy's hand like right now at the height of the pressure of the playoffs. At least you're at home.
So let me ask you guys this: if it was 0-2, would you have more like confidence in bringing back Herro?
Okay. Yeah, probably. Yeah. And if at home was a big one too. It's like you can kind of maybe do that with the crowds behind him. But you don't want to be giving the guy extra minutes just to kind of get back in the flow. We can't afford that. You got to have people who are going to contribute right away and not be rusty and all that stuff. So
again, like every possession matters. This one came down to 3 points. So just like KCP with those 2 fouls on 3-point shooters, at the end of the day, those 2 fouls mattered.
Yeah. All right. We got another super chat. Are you ready? We have Mo Sa. Thank you so much from SAR.
SAR.
South.
It's not South Africa, is it? I think South Africa is ZAR.
Anybody? What's SAR? Anyway, someone
I heard 1999 and SAR is $1 million.
Oh wow! Well, that's really generous. Can you look it up look up YouTube SAR? I don't know. But anyway, here's the question from Mo: why does Jimmy Butler always jump off 2 legs? It seems to be slowing him down, especially on that fast break.
Saudi.
I feel like I feel like from all the conversations me and Coach Nick had, I'm the 1-leg guy and Coach Nick is the 2-leg guy.
I'm a 2-leg. I like 2-leg anyway, so I don't mind that. And it doesn't have to be slower if you, what I call off 2 feet in rhythm, where you gotta go left, right, stagger, jump off both that way. But I hear you. Like the jump stop stuff does take longer and it's slower. I just think Jimmy's really deliberate these days. And he's always been deliberate, right? And listen, tip the cap. The guy hit a couple threes that were huge and now like way out of character. And then something he doesn't do very often. So,
but when he does it, it's in the fourth quarter of a close game.
Right. And it's like off of the hop where he's utilizing that jump stop.
But what about that fast break where he got stripped? I mean, he just to me he seems fatigued or a step slow, and also his elevation on his jump shot and on his layup seems a little bit impacted. Yeah,
he needs more big face coffee.
Right?
Yeah. Wow. Look at you. And by the way, this is Mo's first super chat. So thank you so much. We should
thank you, Mo.
Thank you, Mo.
All right. Thank you, Mo. We have another first super chat coming up in a minute, but that's an awesome question. And I love the fact that you noticed that he goes off the 2. And there's 1-legged and 2-legged jumpers, so just guys who are natural in one or the other. All right, let's get to our next one. Barth, 3400 from Canada, you hoser, says, thank you so much. Can Denver win if you don't even know what that is, do you, hoser?
Yeah.
Do you?
It's some kind of Canadian thing.
It is. It's Great White North. From Canada, from Second City SCTV. Can Denver win if MPJ doesn't step up his scoring? Yes.
Yes.
But it's a lot harder Right?
I mean, they can win if Aaron Gordon's the third leading scorer.
Yeah.
They can win if Jeff Green, but
Yeah.
it makes it more difficult.
Yeah.
And PJ will have he'll have a game eventually.
They can't win if he keeps getting lost on defense.
And you're right. So if he's going to get lost on defense and go 2 for 15, then yeah. But what makes up for it a lot of times if on the defensive end, if he's he's hitting some shots and he's contributing on that end, so they need him to be, he needs to be closer in the 40%, field goal percentage at least, and then he'll be fine. So yeah. All right, let's get to our next question. Well, it's not a question, but it's a super chat, and this is the first one from Nail Bay. So thank you so much, Nail. Thank you so much. This is his first super chat. I'll check the comments if you want to throw a question in there somewhere. We'll answer it for you. But thank you either way for the super chat. Let's keep going. We got another one coming up here. Let's see here.
Oh, the other thing that was interesting is Butler shot, I think five free throws. So Butler's been shooting double-digit free throws all playoffs, and that's to another point. Like something's up, I think.
Yeah. Well, we have our next step really quickly is James Limones. Thank you so much. Has a question which kind of will tie into this. Do the Heat have a chance to win another game or 2 or 3?
They will win one more game.
Okay.
Who can tell? Yeah, they could win the whole thing.
Combo could tell. They will win one more game. And look, I have friends on the Heat coaching staff. I want to see them win a championship, but I do not believe it'll happen. I think the Nuggets will win in 6. That's my personal opinion.
It's Karnak. The answer is 6 games. Okay.
There's no outcome that would surprise me.
Really? So wait. I'll tell you what.
close.
I'll tell you one that'll surprise you. Can I tell you one?
Heat in 5.
Exactly. That would surprise you, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
I can't. I'm been burned. I can't really. I don't know what to say anymore. I mean, I'm definitely going to probably say 6 games.
I mean, Coach Nick, you said 5 or 6, so that means the Heat have to win one eventually, right? So I don't know why you would jump off what you were saying.
Yeah. It's just, but the variance thing is real. It's a strange thing that we have to deal with, and again, the mental aspect of this is going to have to be taken care of or paid attention to more by coaching staffs. I think that they're going to have to figure out ways to be able to, in the game, snap these guys out of it, because you can see even after Strus started out strong, he faltered, right? He didn't finish. Strus ended up 4 for 10, but he was 4 for 4 from 3 or 3 for 4. So he missed his last like 5 threes or something like that. So there's got to be ways to be able to snap them out of that too. I mean, no 3 is the same. You're never in the same position to catch and the whole thing. But there is the mental aspect is so profound that we can't ignore it anymore. And our next super chat is Southern Ignorance. Thank you so much. What do you think of Butler's performance so far? So we kind of talked about it, but we can kind of do another overview of this. He's not aggressive enough. He needs to understand that even if he's not shooting it, he needs to be penetrating the defense and causing havoc on that end. By the way, he hasn't really made any plays on defense either in the last game and a half, as I can think of.
He was guarding Jokic down the stretch, which was impressive.
Right. Just giving him some business.
I mean, second half, he did some good work on Aaron Gordon last game, right? Because Aaron Gordon wasn't as effective in the second half, and I felt like
in the first half he was guarding Murray. So I mean, he's taking the top players on the other team.
And like to the Nuggets' credit, like there's a reason why Jimmy is not as effective on offense, because he probably exerts more energy on these matchups on defense.
Right, but he shot 37%, 21 points. Like he's been averaging 28 on almost 50% shooting in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So but hey, regardless of Jimmy's performance in the first 46 minutes, is there anybody you'd rather have in the final 2?
Probably not. No. And he finished 7 for 19, 2 for 5 from 3, which is huge.
That's good.
And then the 9 assists, like you mentioned, and 21 points.
One turnover.
So he's almost there in terms of the production. Although again, we're more accustomed to seeing him shooting in the 50%, in the 50s,
and shooting double-digit free throws.
Yeah. So which would have indicated another 28, 29 points. It's just about I think they'd feel a lot better if he can get a little bit closer to that. But a win is a win. And let's get to the next super chat. Thank you, Southern. The Drew Show back again. Thank you. Shaq wasn't on a body fat percentage protocol. Just saying. So when he was there in Miami, they definitely didn't. And I don't think Lowry is.
I don't think
either.
Lowry is either.
Oh,
I think,
I'll tell you for sure. Lowry made sure that wasn't in his contract.
yeah, right. So sometimes you can kind of get in there, and whatever. Let's see. Well, here's a member. Let's put a member's question on here. Thank you so much for being a member. Did it feel like the Heat hit nearly every mid-range pull-up off a pick and roll?
Coach.
Okay.
That's getting close to your point.
Let's get to my point.
That's getting close to your wheelhouse.
That's a good question. Okay, so here's what's killing the Denver defense, and it's for the last. And by the way, it's every defense the Miami Heat play. It's the pocket passing that they make off of all the handoffs, and then it also bleed into their pick and roll game too. But my favorite part is the running full speed, hand it off, and then bam, they quickly bounce pocket pass. It's giving them all sorts of short roll stuff that they're getting either directly into a dunk or a layup, or then a kick out to attack a long closeout and directly affect the shots. That is the key. And they go away from this too often. And I'm not even sure exactly why, other than the fact that their flow of offense and we're all humans and not robots. But when they stick with that is, with Bam and it's the fulcrum and everybody's sprinting around them. But Lowry, Butler, Robinson coming around. It's actually Robinson more is great at it now.
Yeah.
That is what's killing them. And keep your eye on this. I'm going to chart every pocket pass they made in tonight's game, and I'm suspecting we're going to see extremely high points per possession on all of those when they do that.
And Lowry especially was just making the perfect read, perfect pocket pass to Bam at the free throw line.
Yeah, that's crazy. As you said that, I saw a highlight of that. So weird.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. So
here, you only get that here.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing that everyone comes here for. All these people here on the show. The Drew Show, man, is just dominating the
love it.
The super chat. So let's give him another run here. Jordan wasn't on Tesco. And Tesco from EPO. I don't know what that is.
What does that mean at the end? I don't know.
But
I don't know what's that hashtag. What's going on there?
I don't know. We'll have to look that up. But we know what he's talking about. And
Drew must be from Chicago.
Yeah, right. Or Miami and near Balco and all the other places that have that stuff. So. That's interesting.
Do you believe there's smoke? When there's smoke, there's fire when it comes to that?
Yeah, well, they don't test in the playoffs, so I'm sure all the high-level guys.
Coach, how do you feel about that?
About LeBron specifically?
Yeah.
Do I want to?
Don't get fired.
Have I said my thoughts?
Fired for what? You're the CEO of B-Ball Breakdown. What are you getting fired for?
Right. I'm only the president. I don't know. Well, it's hard to explain how about 2 weeks after he loses in 2014 to the Spurs, they had a picture of him where he looked like he survived World War II, LeBron James. And he comes back that next year terrible. Like he had no lift, no explosion. He was like kind of thin. And then he takes 3 weeks or a month off of the season. Remember this? In the middle of the season, he goes to Miami.
Yep.
He's playing for Cleveland this point. And he comes back like mother effing Superman. So I don't know how you explain that in any other way, but and we do know that they had asked Derrick Rose once a while back, on a scale of 1 to 10, how many players are, using what's it called?
Performance enhancing drugs.
Yeah, that. And I think he said 11, whatever it was. So, there's smoke, and I tend to believe that there's probably some real fire there. But hey, here's the thing: just make it legal. If you want to cut your life short at the end of your life for that, I suppose you're allowed to make that decision. And that's
are we sure? Are we even sure? Cut your life short? We don't know that.
I suspect that there are some very debilitating medical issues you develop off of that. I mean, I don't think Walter Payton died at like 50 something. From natural causes. And I'm sure he was, because he was getting just destroyed every week for the Bears. It's like I don't know. So now, by the way, I don't think that Walter Payton was using even performance enhancing drugs. He probably was using all sorts of painkiller stuff. That was the problem. But at any rate, it's an interesting question. Let's get to the next one. We have plenty to go here and time is running out. BB, thank you so much for the very generous super chat. We really appreciate it.
Whoa,
that's actually not a good one. What's this one? No.
Terrible. Sorry, baby.
Oh, that's
LeBron not happy with it. There you go.
all right. One very underrated. By the way, I tried to reprogram this and it did not work. So maybe Ben, you'll help me figure out how to get like better, funnier.
We need to get one of the teenagers in here to do that.
One very underrated aspect of Herro's game that may add another dimension to the Heat's offense is the pick and roll with Bam. He generally does a really good job of reading the D and making plays off of screens. So again, just like I talked about the pocket passing stuff with the two-man game with Bam as a fulcrum, yes, there's no question that Herro was great at that as well. So then you'd add, Robinson, Herro. Butler isn't even great at it, but like Lowry is. You have three guys. Strus, actually, you know what? His superpower might even just be handling the ball and running his own pick and rolls, honestly, and then catch and shoot threes. So, it's those three guys that really just put so much pressure on the defense. So, yes, if they can get Herro to kind of just play within himself and run that action there, kind of get going, get a lather, that should be able to help them a little bit.
I wonder if they're going to start Love again.
I would.
Yeah, I would. Or maybe start Robinson. That would be an interesting look. But then you mess with, then Gordon's just going to take Robinson down.
I would start Highsmith.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought too.
I think I like him right where he is, don't you? Like he's well, I mean, he only played 6 minutes tonight. I don't know.
I just feel like he changes the game every time he's in, so why not start him? Yeah. But I mean, it's easy to say. I mean, it's easy to say not to start him now because they won this one. But
yeah,
that's a great point by BB. That is because I was thinking of Herro coming in and just jacking up some shots, but that's a great point that he runs the pick and roll with Bam efficiently.
Yeah, and also the handoff game with him too. Those are the two things. So if he can get into that and realize what I'm talking about as far as all that pocket passing stuff, if he can get in his head that that's what they need to really run, and does it, then he could help them. Rich X Wolf, thank you so much, Rich. We saw you last time too, and thanks for being back. Coach, always play the official theme song every video. You mean the epic beat drop?
That's so good.
It's so good. But they're not all, you know what? And I got to tell you, I think I'm working on like a new song. It's in that vein, but like, we got to spruce some things up. It's been that way for like 5, 6, 8 years now. And not every video is epic. That's the problem.
That's true. It's true. And you do have a good song selection, but that song just gets you hyped.
Yeah. All right. Well, also, will Doc and Bud get jobs? And does this raise Duncan's trade value, win or lose with his shooting?
No, his contract is still too high. Nobody's going to pick that contract up. Especially
what is he at? You know what is?
I want to say it's $20 million a year.
Well, $20 million isn't what it used to be.
We should all be so fortunate.
But hey, let's not forget, by the way, first of all, by the way, he plays in Miami, so there's no income tax, which is huge. But it's only no income tax for 41 games. Remember, they tax you on where you play. But don't forget that, like, I think 5% goes to his manager or his agent. Another couple of percent probably go to the lawyer. And then taxes. Oh, I'm sorry. There is no income tax, but there's federal tax, and then there's taxes on income tax on every other city he plays in.
Throw your W-2 in the chat if you want us to look at it.
He's not playing 20. He's not getting 20 million. He's getting 10.
10.
But hey, it's nice work if you can get it. His salary for next year is 18.
Yeah.
And then 19.4, and then 20. So he's not even at 20 yet. It's a good value. I think you could get that mileage out of a contract like that. But to answer his question, Doc, probably not so quickly. Bud, probably not. They had multiple jobs all in a row for a while. I don't know.
Are there any open jobs right now?
Toronto, right?
Interesting.
Right? They haven't announced Toronto, have they? No. But they were looking at some European coaches and stuff, so I don't know what they're going to do there. But
Doc and Bud are both championship-winning coaches, so yeah, they can get jobs. It's just, is it the job they want to take?
Yeah.
Can they? I don't know. Like Doc, I thought everybody thought he would have got the Suns job, but he didn't.
Did he interview for it?
He probably interviewed for it. I mean, I'm sure every team interviews Doc.
I guess. Yeah. A lot of times you hear who's in the running. I didn't hear anything about it, but. Because you remember when he got fired by the Clippers, he sprinted to Philly like as quickly as he could. It felt like to get that job, like he couldn't afford to have a day off of being not hired.
I mean, it'd be fun to see him in some analyst job, commentary. I think it'd be pretty cool at that.
Yeah, he did that for 1 year right after he retired from playing.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
He was the Spurs analyst.
All right.
Oh, that's kind of random, no?
Well, and then remember he took the Orlando job and he was going to bring Duncan with him, and then he said no family members on the team charter, so Duncan stayed with the Spurs.
Well, I think his
teammate.
His son and his daughter are podcasting now, so maybe he could podcast.
Are they?
Huh. All right, let's get to our next super chat, which is just E pluribus unum 13. Thank you for the super chat. No question in there, but maybe if you want to throw one in the comments and I see it, I will throw it up there. I guess Chris is not around today, huh? Oh well. Didn't see him, but then again,
there's E pluribus unum.
Well, let's see. Let's put his question up here. Good. Look at the eyes on Ben. Why don't more teams mix in zone? The Heat have shown it's a worthwhile defense to use when necessary. I wish I could answer that.
Great question.
They should absolutely be pressing. They should be playing zone. They should be mixing it up. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me. Any ideas?
I feel like it's just the thought that like NBA teams have too many good shooters. That's really it.
Right. Yeah, but as we're seeing, like you also can find teams that don't know how to attack a zone very well. I mean, they get stymied. So,
I mean, you guys played basketball, right? When you see a zone, I mean, you guys are pretty happy, right? I mean, you're going to get open shots for the most part.
Yeah.
It's tricky because if you're playing man and you got Jokic, I'm happy there too. Like it's just, but what Spo does or what the Heat do with the zone is it just. Whenever they throw it in, it just switches everything up for a few possessions, gums up the works, and the Miami Heat are very comfortable when things get hectic like that.
Yeah.
And I think most teams don't have the focus to play zone, to hit the rotations the way they should, and then be comfortable in that chaos.
Fair.
Absolutely. Now, Pluribus Unum, that was his first super chat, so
thank you.
Thank you very much for that. That was awesome. It's an interesting question I see in there in the comments about the Denver not calling a timeout. They just opted to go down and shoot a three.
It.
Here, I didn't, and they had two timeouts and they could have called one of them. I don't know if I liked it only because if you want to catch the defense not set up, that's one thing. But in that situation, the defense had been back. They were waiting for them standing there. At that point, it doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense.
I've changed my opinion. You're right. I like it when it's a broken field and it's chaotic, but you're right. The defense was set. Plus, they had 16 seconds, so they could have seen the defense was set, call the timeout, still had another timeout in their back pocket.
Yeah. So I would have gone for a timeout in that situation, just to
if you're Miami, when do you foul in that situation?
Under 10. Oh, and then Miami doesn't foul, which is even worse. But they under 10 seconds. Yeah, you can get into the free throw game because then there might be the foul you make in the free throws, and then they foul you, and then maybe one more,
right?
But maybe not, depending on how that goes. So that's about all you have to deal with. And again, no team has ever made the first one, missed the second, gotten the rebound, got it behind the 3-point line, and then made that shot to win. So that's a big part of it. And then more likely than not, they're just going to shoot 2 free throws, and you'll win the game.
Yeah.
All right, let's look at the Drew Show. My goodness gracious, he's all over the place.
Drew.
Thank you, man. Has Caleb Martin's coach turned into a pumpkin? Is that his shooting coach? Is that what you think he means? Or his?
I don't know.
What do you think?
Spo?
Combo?
It's not talking about Spo, is he?
No.
I know one guy that works with him. I don't know.
All right.
He don't remind me
J.
of a
Cole.
pumpkin.
Is his name J. Cole?
No, but I think I know a guy that trains both of them, J. Cole and him, but he doesn't remind me of a pumpkin.
No.
No, I think it's just variance. And Martin, was not a great 3-point shooter during the regular season.
I heard he's a little sick, right?
Oh, that too.
Yeah.
He was fine tonight. I mean, he shot. Wait, what did he shoot? Where is he? Caleb Martin was 1 for 2 from 3 at least, and 1 for 3 overall. So I would say, that was more how he was feeling sick. But remember, his shooting form is really kind of catapult-y. And you're going to see, wild runs. The fact that he stayed hot for as long as he did was probably more impressive than anything. And he hangs in the air, and the release is a little bit violent sometimes. So I'm not surprised at all that he'll miss shots. Ben has a point about LBJ spends millions on his body, and that is absolutely true. He does the cryogenic freezing stuff and all sorts of things. So
orange slices,
tacos. That causes that leads to millions.
That's $2 or $3 a week right there.
Yeah.
That adds up.
Taco Tuesday, when you have enough people, that's expensive. So, yeah, there's no question he does a lot of things on across the board to keep him going, which is amazing. I would like daily massages or whatever he also might have. Let's see here, Justin D. So I think we're getting to the end here because this live show has been going on over an hour.
Nice.
Now let me make sure that this might be the last one here. All right, this is the last super chat. So thank you so much, Justin. Let's give you. You know anything about Adrian Griffin? Surprised the Bucks did not go with Nurse. Yes. Where does Milwaukee go from here? So, well, what we know about Adrian Griffin, we know he played for the Bulls and then Tibbs. Oh no, shoot, did he play for? Oh, who did Adrian Griffin play for? As a player, anybody? No.
Milwaukee.
He played. I know. I mean, I can see him right now playing in Chicago, but where is it? Adrian Griffin. There he is. Okay, but he played a lot of seasons. Actually, he didn't play a lot of seasons. He played 8.
Boston.
So he played for Rick Pitino. Holy moly! Let's go. How about Dallas? Did he play for? Don Nelson's Dallas team. And okay, so that's interesting influences. Then here's Chicago that I'm thinking about for part of a year for Scott Skiles. Wow. He and then who else did he play for? Chicago again. For Skiles, Pete Myers, and Jim Boylan. So I don't know. Adrian Griffin, that he was an assistant, though. That's the other next question is Adrian was an assistant for who? He was just in Toronto, right? So he was an assistant for Nurse. Why don't they have it in the coaches area? Anybody? Now I really feel dumb because I know all this. I know Adrian Griffin. I talked to him. Are you looking it up? Basketball. Yeah. Let's go. Let's look at his coaching tree. Here, it'll be on the Wikipedia. So here we go. A Bucks assistant, and then he's a Bulls assistant, and then a Magic, and then there's the Raptors. He was with the Nurse. So he was with in 2016 to 2018 OKC. So that's hello, from Providence. Billy Donovan.
Billy Donovan.
And then in Orlando for 1 year. And these are the Bucks 2008 to 2010. Who was that? God, that's a good trivia question. Who was the Bucks coach?
Played for PJ Carlissimo at Seton Hall.
Oh, wow. All right. That's interesting. I hope he doesn't,
Which I saw Carlissimo was doing
the radio.
For the game.
With Latrell Sprewell?
I didn't see Sprewell there.
I don't think that you'll see them together.
I wonder if they made hopefully they made up.
So, wait, where did he go? Adrian Griffin. So he was the coach of Milwaukee 2008 to 2000. So he was an assistant to Scott Skiles. So he played for Scott Skiles, and he was an assistant for Scott Skiles. Interesting. Well, I certainly hope he doesn't use any of those methods that Skiles used. But I don't know if we know too much about him other than that. What about you, Combo?
I don't know too much about him.
Yeah. So I just don't understand what they're doing. They have a championship contending team, and they hire a coach with no head coaching experience.
It's crazy.
It's interesting. I don't know exactly what that means.
Interesting is being generous.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It doesn't really. Now again, Steve Kerr comes in and wins a title with the Warriors.
Yeah, but that's like if Mark Jackson had already won a title,
right?
And they fired him and brought in somebody else.
Wait, that's
plus Kerr learned Popovich and Phil Jackson.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hey, Ty Lue takes over and wins in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
But but you're right. It's not the thing you like hang your hat on and like that we're going to do that one thing that happened twice in 100 years. So it doesn't make any sense. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm still interested and we'll cheer Coach Griffin on. Comrade Chimpy, thank you so much, friend of the breakdown. What happens to the Nuggets trio with the new CBA? Ooh. Well, isn't it going to go up again? The salary cap?
Yeah, but then all the tax, whatever.
Yeah.
I think they can keep it together for another year or two.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like MPJ is locked in, and Jokic is definitely locked in, right? I mean, these guys are locked in. Yeah, I mean,
listen. At the end of the day, it doesn't even matter if you have MPJ. If you got Jokic and Murray, they're both healthy.
Bruce Brown will probably be gone because he's going to get some more money somewhere else. But
the thing is, they lost their great GM Tim Connolly last year to Minnesota, who then traded for Rudy Gobert. But Connolly was great at finding these guys. I mean, he drafted Jokic in the second round. So that's where it'll show is not the third guy. It'll be like the 7th, 8th, 9th guys.
For sure. All right, we got this. We got to get out of here, but we still have a ton of people here. We got another super chat to get to. Eric is thrown out there. Thank you so much for super chat. Take on the no timeout last. What's my take on the no timeout last 10 seconds? Is a pin down screen for Jamal into a more rhythm ISO a better option than the scramble? We saw Jimmy was exhausted. We kind of talked about it, but let's talk about it one more time. They definitely should have.
Yeah. They
Combo.
Definitely.
Should they call a timeout?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Now that said, they got Jamal Murray, got a look to tie the game. I mean, you're not unhappy with that.
Yeah. I mean, then I was unhappy they didn't foul.
Yeah.
And then they were dribbling in place for 5 seconds. They could have just taken a foul anytime they needed to there. So, what's the best argument for not fouling up by 3?
Jokic. So they hit the first free throw, and then Jokic gets a tip for the second one.
Yeah, so that's why you don't want to do it. But there's some sort of madliness where we're just going to be able to D up, and we don't deserve to win if we can't get a stop. But it's like, no, you just eliminate
play
the possibility.
Yeah.
So, all right, Joe Star, LOL. I feel like LeBron can play for another 5+ years if he's willing to play as a veteran point forward for contending teams. Or am I just crazy? LeBron fan. LeBron is the GOAT, by the way.
Agree with both points.
I mean, the decline is real, and we're seeing evidence of it. But even with that, he's still terrific.
The decline is real, and he put up 27, 8, and 8.
Yeah, I think he can play more than 5 more years and be effective.
No, he's not playing more than 5 years. He's playing. I bet you'll play 3 tops.
No. I'm not saying will he. I'm saying he can if he wants.
Could he?
Oh, maybe. But remember, he's also breaking down every year and missing a huge chunk.
So you don't think he could be better than Zeller in 6 years?
I agree with Combo.
In 6 years, he can probably still be better.
I think an interesting comparison for LeBron at this stage is Magic when he came back in '96 and he played point power forward coming off the bench.
Yeah.
Had a triple-double in his second game after not playing for 4 years.
I think there were some different circumstances, but I see where you're going.
Yeah, but just in terms of LeBron as a more ground player, not using his athleticism, but just using his strength and his smarts and posting up and making the right reads, LeBron could play, I think, easily another 5 years.
I mean, Robert Parrish played till 46, right?
No, I think Parrish was like 42. I think 42 is the max anybody's played.
Yeah.
So LeBron's 38 right now, 5 years before.
We got to Google
and we know what Parrish's secret was.
Yeah.
What was that? Oh, yeah.
Non-performance enhancing drugs.
That doesn't work for everybody, by the way. That could actually hinder some people's career.
True.
The way I feel today, I agree. Okay. I think that's our show, man. Awesome stuff. Really, definitely one of our best shows, probably because there's an earlier game time. We had more people in here, and they're not everyone's asleep on the East Coast. Thank you so much to the unbelievable amount of super chatters tonight. The Drew Show gets a special shout out for his multiple super chats. Thank you, Daryl, as well, and everybody in there. Too many to mention, but again, thank you so much. It really helps us keep this going. And that's it. Please stay tuned for the video tomorrow. I'm going to break this thing down. I'm going to focus on those pocket passes probably more than anything else to keep it tight and focused. And again, I'm here to give you things that no one else will see, that you won't see it from anywhere else. So my game one video, it might have been similar to what you see other places, perhaps, maybe. This one will not be that way. I'm going to make sure and make it really unique, and you're going to want to come back for more. So, Combo, thank you so much for being here. Ben, as always, great to have you where I can hit you. There's what's that?
If you're interested in what we talked about with positive coaching, I wrote a book about my experience coaching overseas, Zen and the Art of Coaching Basketball. New York Daily News calls it a terrific read.
There we go.
There you go.
See it.
Love it.
Flush.
Love it.
It's a great book. It's funny. I read this digitally. I'm not used to seeing it in real.
Yeah.
This is a terrific book. A great message. Great way to learn more about coaching. And if you are a coach, there's some terrific stuff in there too about unlocking the potential of your players. Definitely, Ben's a great writer. You need to buy that book ASAP.
Zen and the Art of Coaching Basketball.
All right. Well, don't forget,
you.
sports fans, the B-Ball Breakdown. We're not a channel. We're a conversation. You in? Are you in, everybody?
I'm in.